I've already had so much content and interesting stuff that I've learned today that I hope I have enough in me to kind of hold what's still coming. So, are we, Monica, are we okay? Okay, let's get going. Okay, so our next speaker is Louis Kruger from Kruger Inc. He is one of our value sponsors today, so he's going to be giving us some really useful information around his area of expertise. So Louis started his career in real estate 24 years ago when he was the youngest person to qualify as an estate agent with the then EAAB. That's you. Oh, yeah, okay. No, I can definitely Monica. So he's given me quite a lot of, I mean, the challenge with all these speakers, they got such a pedigree that, like, I want to leave space for them to talk. So Louis got his, all his law degrees and all that stuff, everything that counts for us. He's an admitted attorney, notary, and conveyancer, and he started his own practice, Kruger Inc., in 2018. And he continues to act as a social worker in private practice in his spare time, which is amazing. Thanks, Louis, for that extra work. He's known for his love of training estate agents, and he's made significant contributions to the CPT program and PDE exams on the PPRA. His firm is also an accredited skills development provider. I know he provides excellent training resources for his partner agents, and so he assists estate agents to get their qualification. And finally, Louis is the CEO of the Mortgage Origination Regulatory Council of South Africa, which now acts as a representative of the mortgage origination industry. Let's put our hands together for Louis.
Good afternoon, everybody. Really nice not to be given the graveyard shift. I usually get that because apparently I have a way to keep people awake. And I think it's just because I give intimidating stares to people across the audience, and that keeps people quite alert. But yeah, to Brad and the team, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. A brilliant initiative which we were more than happy to sponsor and become involved in, and again, an opportunity just to network. So as per the introduction, something I'm really passionate about is training in the real estate environment. Probably the effect of being the son of a school principal. You learn to appreciate the value that training can bring in empowering people. And that's always been my passion, because the more I can teach you of what I know, the more effective you are in what you do, the better for our entire industry. And it's always been an absolute passion of mine to impart the knowledge and to make sure that agents particularly can conclude transactions that cannot be disputed. And we all know that probably the biggest heartache that we have in completing any kind of sale or lease agreement or any property-related contract is when it doesn't happen, or when what I call seller's remorse and buyer's amnesia. You know, the moment they forget exactly what they saw, when they saw it, why they saw it. And again, what can we rely on? And often we are lumped as attorneys with a very negative, something very after the fact. By the time something hits my desk, typically, it's already gone down a path of quite some negativity. So how do we avoid that? Knowledge. And that's always been the basis on which I've always got involved in any training endeavor, is to, if I can impart the knowledge so that you can use that to your advantage, then that problem might not end up on my desk. How do we get people to comply with the very thing that irritates them? Okay, I'm going to give you some acronyms, right? FICA. Okay. RMCP, Code of Conduct. And so we go, and there's all these ECC, ANC, this thing, all the things with the C's in it seem to be a big problem. But we battle, and we see agents often struggling with complying with those elements because, in my view, they haven't been taught how to use that to their advantage. So I want to use one example quickly, and it's something I'm very passionate about and probably one of the few people who can make FICA sound like a holiday in the Bahamas. But there is tremendous value if you understand how you can use FICA to make your deals watertight. Okay, so let me give you some examples. We have always considered FICA to be a document collection process, right? Those of you like me from the days when FICA was introduced and all we needed was a copy of an ID and a copy of this and a copy of that. If it was in the file and the tick box system was ticked off, then you got paid your commission and everyone was happy. That's completely changed. To don't collect the document just for the sake of collecting it. The reason you're collecting it is to verify information that you would have been told by the client or kind of figured out by yourself. But where does the value lie in that document collection process? So let's think about it. When you're filling in an offer to purchase, so we can probably all do this with our eyes closed, right? You've got the top, the beautiful heading, your logo, all excited, the seller, right? And now we start writing in the seller's details. What do we use to do that? We use the ID. What are we looking for on the ID? We're looking to see, is it a barcoded green ID? Is it maybe a smart card? What does that document tell us? On the barcoded ID, under the ID number, it says to us, SA resident or a non-resident. The minute I see that, I've got to start thinking about what is the implication of that on my transaction, right? Questions you may not have been able to ask had you not done that document collection process, as it were. We look at where the person is born. We look at their ID number. We know that different digits in the ID number represent something else, right? Then if you're like my mom, who's still got that very blue ID book, okay, when they won't even let her in the door at some places. And there we start. And now we have the client that says to us, but I live at number 23 Johnny Street. How do we know that? The client gives us a proof of residence. What do? They give us one for completely different address. Okay. And now when it comes to you having to serve legal notices and having to follow up on transactions, you need to be able to rely on the address that the client's given you. Right. Now we start looking at things like a marriage certificate. Why is that important? Well, we know in South Africa, there's only 2 ways to be married. In and out. Okay? And I always say to agents, I get agents phoning me in an absolute panic going, I don't know if this client's married with accrual or without. And I say it doesn't matter. It only matters in 2 instances, death and divorce, and you want neither of those to happen during your transaction. Okay. Because then we have a deceased estate, and that's a whole nother morning's debate. But we get so caught up on the things that don't actually affect our transactions that we miss the things that do. So remember, from today, if the client can't tell you, I promise you they don't know. They always discover it during divorce negotiations. When they see what the other side wants, then they realize that they should have probably signed that contract historically. We are quite concerned as conveyancers with when did they actually sign the antenuptial contract? Because did you know, if it wasn't signed before they got married, and it wasn't registered within 3 months of them having signed it, despite there being one, they are married in community of property. And I've had to break it to several property investors. My friend from Witbank, be careful. I've had to tell many people on an umpteenth transaction that I have now discovered that the attorney that they went to see before they got married left their antenuptial contract lying on a shelf or on a desk, registered it late, and the effect of it is that they are now married in community of property and that the loving spouse now owns half of his entire investment portfolio. So again, what I'm trying to suggest is that these steps that we take in complying and ticking a box and complying with that which the law dictates or what our agency dictates or our principle can be used to your advantage. Look at the documents that you're getting. For example, when a client gives you proof of residence and it's a municipality account, what do you do with it? Do you just look at the front page in the bottom right-hand corner to see the outstanding balance so you know how much pressure they're under? Okay? That might be great because that helps you with price counseling. But from a conveyancing perspective, turn the account around. What should be on that account? 5 things, always. Rates, refuse, water, electricity, sewerage. If it's not there, you must be able to explain why it's not there. Electricity is not there. Why? Because it's Eskom. Cool, no problem. I've had transactions held up because refuse was never linked to someone's account. Yet for years, they've collected their dustbins every Tuesday morning faithfully. Small things that you can do if you empower yourself with knowledge as to what those documents tell you about a particular property, about a particular client, without it just being seen as you ticking some compliance-related documents. The new era that we see coming about in real estate is most definitely the changes, the constant changes in all the education regulations, and there's this whole drive for our industry to be professionalized. And I support that. I really, really do. As someone who's been in the industry now for many years, how do we professionalize anything that we do? How do I become better at what I do? Surely, it's knowledge combined with experience. And I see opportunities such as these today, and I just think of all the people that are not here today, who may not have had these opportunities or maybe have passed up on the opportunity to expand on their knowledge and to be better at what they do. Because ultimately, those that are productive, those that are professional, those that are proficient, make the money. And most importantly, something, if anything I've learned from my time in real estate, and probably the most difficult thing to do, is consistency. We heard today some fabulous ideas about how to do it, how to go about it, have social media, have the posts, do this, do door knocking, do all of the above. It all works, but it only really works when you're consistent. And when you take every single opportunity, I cannot tell you how depressed I feel for the people in the room when I'm invited to speak at a morning meeting or to address an agency or a franchise at a convention or a meeting, and there's this wonderful opportunity and a lot of money has been spent to create that opportunity, and you get told there's going to be 100 people there. It just, so you can measure your anxiety levels ahead of time. And then half the people have something, I'm assuming, more important to do with their time. And they miss those opportunities. And I want to implore on you today, as events such as this create opportunities for you to learn. And if you leave here today having just learned one thing or thought of one thing that you can do differently in the way that you do business, you've got value from it. It's been worth your time. And finally, I share your excitement that we're on the cusp of the market returning to what we knew. And I want to encourage you, as difficult as it is, because it's a struggle that I too battle with, is it's really hard to be motivated when it's tough out there and when things are not as we remember it to be. The good old days. 1 month post-COVID, okay, at 7 point whatever %. It is tough, but it's those that are consistent now, that are top of mind, that are using these opportunities where they've got maybe a bit more spare time than usual to improve their knowledge on what they're doing, completing online courses, and there are a million of them freely available, just to continue to build. And lastly, all those regulatory issues, all those law issues, all those training opportunities that you get, use them. But look beyond it as being purely a tick box exercise. Look at the documents you're collecting, appreciate their value, use them for the value that they give you in making a secure transaction. Thank you.